His body language was sending out a lot of freaky signals, and I started getting ready for some kind of confrontation.
Wow. Prior to being a YouTuber, content creator, I worked in customer service for years, guys. Both in retail and restaurants, and I've had my fair share of irate customers. Now, I've never had a customer freak out, okay? I've had customers raise their voices at me, pretty much yelling. I've had customers point at me very menacingly while doing so, but I've never received any sort of threats, any physical confrontation, or anything like that. I have seen a few altercations with shoplifters that involve tackling from some of the store staff, and that by itself is very, very scary. But all of these things that you see public freakouts on like TikToks or YouTube videos where people actually go ballistic and start hitting other employees or breaking product in the stores and stuff like that, I've never had to witness anything like that. And most people, including me, would probably freak out pretty bad if that started happening right in front of them. I can just see myself with my family or my wife at a McDonald's or something like that, and somebody just start freaking out, yelling stuff and throwing things at the staff or whatever. I'd probably just leave. Probably leave without my order, or probably get the hell away from it for sure, just in case anything went down. Because when people get mad enough to yell in public like that, they could always snap. You know, that's my big fear. Some people go to extreme lengths based on what they want to do in public. And we're going to react to a story today about something very creepy that happened in a store. And it's by MJB Animations. Make sure to head on over to their channel and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, guys. And if you like reaction videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel as well. Let's get into this animation.
I've been working at a clothing store in the mall for about 5 weeks.
Okay.
I was your typical high school graduate who wasn't sure if they wanted to go to college or not.
All right.
I was just kind of working because I didn't really have anything else to do.
Right.
A little background on me. I'm a pretty large guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 6 feet tall, and I'm not some kind of gym freak, but I do consider myself more fit than most.
Yeah?
I probably work out 3 or 4 times a week, and this has honestly been really cool, kind of being seen as the tough guy, I suppose.
6 foot tall, athletic. I would definitely lean on somebody like that if I needed help. I used to go out to the clubs quite a bit, and I was always a small guy, and I could dance really well back in my day, right? And, I'd be cutting up on the dance floor, having a good old time, and naturally I'd get a little bit of attention, and sometimes people would get a little jealous, and sometimes it ended up in not really altercations, but I kind of felt uncomfortable at times. And I always had friends that were bigger than me, which isn't really hard when you're a small guy. But my big friends always assured me, don't worry, Daniel, if something pops off, we got you back. Because I was never really asking for it. And honestly, when you're a big guy, sometimes you wish a mother would. I've heard that before in some comedian shows. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, having a big friend is really, really nice. If he works at a department store, they probably see this guy as the bouncer.
The day this happened, there were a lot more people than usual. I remember there being customers everywhere, and it just felt like there was no ending the day.
Oh gosh,
I remember me and my coworkers rushing around and having this feeling of, wow, we don't have enough staff for this.
Right.
It eventually slowed down as the day came to an end.
Good.
And it was always nice because you kind of get a cool down.
Right.
That is, if you work the entire day like I do.
Mm-hmm.
This happened during that slow. When it was somewhere between the late afternoon and night, probably had to have been about 6 or 7, the sun was still out, seeing as it was still summertime.
Right.
A man, who was even taller than I was, walked into the store, and from the second he stepped foot on the premises, I knew that he had bad intentions.
Uh-oh.
His body language was sending out a lot of freaky signals, and I started getting ready for some kind of confrontation.
Wow.
As much as I hated these kind of things, I knew that everyone was going to look at me to save the day, considering most of my other coworkers were female, and the only other guy was kind of small.
In the world of retail, I was a manager quite a bit of the places that I worked at. And you had the... your pay rate said that you were the one to talk to people about the bad news. No, sir, we can't allow you to return this merchandise. No, ma'am, we can't allow you to use this coupon. No, sir, that isn't the correct price. You're gonna have to pay the full price if you want it. Yes, ma'am, I know that we are terrible human beings, but it's still whatever I just told you that you don't like still stands. It happens all the time, right? It didn't have anything to do with my size. I never expected anyone to do anything outlandish. You never really do. And unfortunately, I've never had anything like that happen to me. But I gotta tell you, it's scary when you know you're gonna have to confront somebody that's already in a bad mood, especially when it has to do with their money. It's never good, man.
The ominous man that had walked into the store was wearing a black sweatshirt and a dark pair of jeans.
Okay.
I at least remember that much. He walked over one of the clothing racks and literally threw it to the floor.
Wow!
Everyone in the store turned and looked at him, and he just kind of stood there for a second. I yelled and started walking over to him, and I saw him reach into his pocket.
The hell?
I'm not sure what kind of pistol he pulled out.
A pistol?
I just remember him firing at me multiple times.
Wow!
I looked out and was only hit once in the arm, at least at first. I managed to get behind the register area to take cover. For some reason, he believed that he could fire through the counter, and so he tried, but the bullets started ricocheting.
This guy was trying to murder people. Wow. So the only thing, this is something like this has actually happened to me before. Not in like a retail setting because of a mad customer or whatever. I've told this story before, but our car dealership that I worked at a long time ago had some wacko show up with a knife and start stabbing people. I know, I laugh about it now. It wasn't funny at the time. But honestly, this seems like that. Like something... He knocked over a clothes. He's not upset about a return, okay? This has got to be just some random act of violence.
A couple of them hit some of the other coworkers.
Oh my god,
and they were all desperately trying to find cover.
Freaking shooting.
One of them even ran away from the scene entirely.
Oh yeah.
I knew this was going to be a bad situation because I remember having a conversation with one of the mall cops one time. They weren't allowed to carry guns, so if someone managed to get a gun inside of the mall and started opening fire, we were all going to have to wait for the actual police to show up.
Right.
I knew the next 15 to 30 minutes was going to determine if I lived or not.
Man.
I stayed behind the counter for as long as I could, but I heard him coming towards me.
Mm-hmm.
My heart pounding in my chest faster than I never felt it before.
Wow, man.
I was mortified, terrified that I was about to die.
Mm-hmm.
And for no good reason at that. Some random guy with a gun decides to shoot up a clothing store in a mall. A few minutes have gone by, and he hadn't fired another bullet. I wasn't sure if he had been reloading, or if he ran out of bullets, or maybe he was saving a few. I had no idea how many he had in a clip.
Right.
I just remember the sound of footsteps running towards my direction.
Wow, man.
I knew he was coming my way, and I wasn't sure what I was even capable of doing at that point.
Mm-hmm.
My fight-or-flight response kicked in, and I figured the best chance I had was waiting for him to get on this other side of the counter where he could see me.
And he was already
and
wounded.
I was going to have to tackle him. I knew that wasn't the best option, but I'm not sure what the other options I had.
I wouldn't know either.
For some reason, he jumped over the counter. He landed right next to me, and this was perfect for me. He was close enough that we could get into a scuffle now, and maybe I had a chance of surviving this. I remember grabbing his leg and bringing him to the floor.
Right.
He kicked me in the head, and man, that hurt.
I guess so.
Almost knocked me out altogether, but I managed to keep going, probably only because the adrenaline my body was releasing.
Right.
Once I got him onto the floor, I saw that he had dropped his gun.
Thank goodness.
Considering the fact that he hadn't fired, I figured that he had been out of ammo and too hyped up to reload in the middle of a shooting.
Right.
We fought on the floor for a good few minutes before someone else decided to join. I don't know why no one else joined sooner.
Scared.
I really could have used the help.
Right, of course.
It was just me and this deranged psychotic killer fighting on the floor of this mall for a...
When something like that happens, you don't process thoughts normally unless you're trained for it, right? Military personnel, security personnel, police officers, people like that train under circumstances to be ready for stuff like this. Normal people, you don't know what to do. You're in shock. You're freaking out. Your adrenaline surging. You have no idea what to do. Most people just run. I remember when the guy came in with a knife at our dealership, I ran. I freaked out. I was babbling incoherently to my coworkers, and I ended up hiding in an office until 911 got there. Well, the police got there from the 911 call, but you know what I mean. You not knowing what to do. You see the scuffle happening. You don't know if they have the gun or not anymore, you know, or a knife. Luckily, I mean, the gun's capable of doing a lot more damage. But when it's out of ammo, it's basically useless. You know what I mean? I mean, you could pistol whip people, whatever. A knife in this situation would have been very, very scary too, because if this guy gets a hold of you, you're getting cut, you know? It's infinite ammo, so to speak. Scary.
Good while. He wasn't the strongest guy in the world, but I was also fighting with a bullet wound in my arm.
Right.
So he had an extreme advantage over me. He probably would have killed me with his bare hands had someone else not joined in and helped me. We managed to knock him unconscious, get the gun further away from him, and waited for the police to arrive. I remember this little experience being the talk of the area for many, many weeks.
I guess so.
There were quite a few newspaper articles written about it all. I even got interviewed in one of them, and a journalist even called me a hero.
Wow.
And to be honest, nothing made me happier or more sadder in the world to read those words.
Yep.
It was just such a traumatic event. The guy was arrested, prosecuted, and I'm pretty sure he got life in prison.
Mm-hmm.
People started treating me like a real hero after this. In all honesty, I kind of felt like one. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had not been there to take that guy on. There was no way any of my coworkers would have been able to fight with this guy.
Right.
And if he had complete control of the situation, he could have taken a hostage or done something much worse.
It's true.
The bullet was removed from my arm, and unfortunately it did shatter a part of my humerus.
Dang.
I'm still recovering from that. But ever since this experience, I haven't viewed my physical strength as something that makes me cool or better than anyone.
Sure.
I view it as a way that I can protect people. I think this may have been the experience I needed because I think I might want to become a police officer after all this is said and done.
Well, there you go. See, dealing with injuries like that is crazy too, because you need everything in your body. You do. You need everything in your body. When you get wounded, like from a bullet wound or a knife wound, it can mess up organs, you know, and that could disable you in ways that you wouldn't have been disabled like that before. It's really traumatic when things happen like this, because not only do people get hurt, but after they heal, they continue having to pay for it, you know? It sucks, man. I never did get in any fights in my life because I was always scared to hurt somebody. It's kind of crazy, huh? I never wanted to hurt anybody, so I never fought with anybody. You know, I got picked at a lot, and sure, I got hit a couple of times, and I almost got in one fight before, but I didn't hit back, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. I would if I had to, you know. I think I'd rather have to shoot somebody if I defended myself rather than just fight with somebody, because no telling what can happen, you know. It's crazy, man. Y'all be safe out there, guys. Love y'all. MJV Animations right here, baby. Check him out. Make sure to subscribe. A couple other reaction videos I did by him as well. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time. Break it down.